Most gardeners grow food for 3 or 4 months a year. Then their garden sits empty. The same beds, the same space, producing nothing for the other 8 months. And then straight back to the grocery store for the same vegetables that were growing right outside the door 3 months ago. But what if your garden was your refrigerator? What if every single week, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, you could walk outside and harvest something fresh? Paul and Edwin Dysinger have been teaching gardeners to do exactly that for years, and their system is simpler than anything you have tried before. In the next 30 minutes, they are going to give you the complete 3-step formula for planning a garden that produces fresh superfoods every single week of the year. Pay close attention. What they share next will permanently change how you plan your garden.
Cool season versus warm season veggies. Winter leaves and roots versus summer seeds and fruits. Let's talk about an overview of what we're going to cover in this training session. We're going to talk about our 3-step garden planning formula, which includes step number 1, choosing what to grow in your garden, right? It may seem pretty basic, but it's super important.
You know, everything, once you get into it, there's more complexity than you see on the surface.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Step number 2 is choosing where to grow, mapping it out, actually laying that garden plan out, and we'll give you some tips on that. And step number 3, creating your planting calendar and our perpetual harvest hack. Which is very exciting. So you guys ready? Let's jump right in. Now would be a great time to silence any distractions. We're going to be covering a good amount of content in here, and we always get most excited when we hear back from you guys and hear about the impact that it's made in your garden. Like when you go and apply what you learned in these classes, Roy Kim here, who said there's a very noticeable difference in the amount of fruitage this year compared to last year. Or James Hunt, who ate kale and collards that did well all winter, ate fresh greens all winter long. So that's what we want you to come away with from this training, right? Be able to implement and start growing your best garden ever, best superfood garden ever. And the best way to get the most out of this class is to put away those distractions, grab the pen and paper, get ready to take some notes. All right. Ready to roll?
Yes.
All right, number 1. Choosing what to grow. Choosing what to grow. Make a list of what you'd like to grow. Why is this so important?
Well, you can't grow everything.
That's true. You might want to grow everything.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of, sometimes I feel like planting a garden is it's a little like a kid at a table full of good food, and he wants to fill his whole plate up. And my folks used to tell me my eyes were bigger than my stomach.
That's a really good illustration.
I kind of feel like planting a garden can be that way too.
Oh yeah.
And I've experienced filling my garden plate up fuller than I could handle.
Oh man. Yeah, that's kind of one of the tips we like to tell people is start small.
Yeah.
You know, don't try and bite off too much more than you can handle, because we want you to come to the end of the season and feel a sense of satisfaction, like it went really well. Not that the garden took over, right?
Yeah.
So here's just a couple tips on that. Number 1 is we encourage you to be as specific as possible when you're choosing what to grow. So this means if you want to grow cucumbers, make this list, and we encourage you write it out on a piece of paper or make a document or something, and put down, I want to grow pickling cucumbers or I want to grow slicing cucumbers.
First off, you're probably not thinking about it, but as you get into it, you'll realize that it's not just cucumbers. There's all different kinds of cucumbers for different uses and also for different growing situations.
Yep.
And it's the same with many other vegetables, particularly tomatoes. There are so many different kinds of tomatoes.
Yes, yeah.
So think about what use are you looking for this vegetable? Do you want slicers or do you want a can, for example?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and write that down because it's going to be really helpful for you when you're actually going in to make your seed order.
Exactly.
As then it'll help narrow it down. And have any of you ever been overwhelmed when you open the catalog and there's 150 different varieties of tomatoes in your... Now you got to figure out which one to grow, right? That can be a little overwhelming, but being specific will help narrow that down for you and make that decision-making process simpler and easier. And then the next step is choosing cool versus warm season crops as well, or even just being cognizant of the difference between them.
Right.
Because if you're going to have a perpetual harvest, you're going to actually want to be growing both cool season and warm season crops because you want to grow when it's cold, when it's cool, and you want to grow when it's warm.
And we realize that, for people who have been growing, this is intuitive. You don't even think about it. But for people who are coming to gardening for the first time, it's not, because in your grocery store you have exposure to these fresh vegetables year round.
Yep.
And so you're not really thinking of seasons where seasonality has kind of disappeared when in the grocery store. And but it is a real thing, and you need to be aware that certain things grow in certain seasons.
So we came up with a little rhyme that can help make this a little easier for those of you that might not be aware of what is cool season versus a warm season crop, right? So it goes like this: cool season versus warm season veggies. Winter leaves and roots versus summer seeds and fruits. So this is a general guideline. Most of your winter crops are going to be leaves and root crops, where you eat the leaf, like lettuce, spinach, kale, collards, right? Mm-hmm. Cabbage, or the root, like carrots, beets, turnips, radishes, etc.
Parsnips.
Yep. So those are going to be crops that grow well in the cold and actually prefer the cold. If you try and grow them in the hot summer, they'll actually bolt. They'll be bitter. They don't grow so well. The majority of your summer crops are the ones you're going to eat the seeds or the fruits off of.
And we're talking about fruits in a botanical sense.
Yeah.
Not the culinary sense.
Yeah. So your tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplant, those are all fruits, even though we think of them like vegetables, right? It's the fruit of the plant.
Yeah.
Squash. And then seeds, that would bring you into like the corns.
And beans.
Beans, yeah. Yeah, good. So this is a general ballpark, and I would say it probably covers, 90% of...
Yeah, there are exceptions, definitely. For example, sweet potatoes.
Yep.
We've got a root there that is definitely summer.
You better grow that in the summer, yeah. Irish potatoes also. I mean, they enjoy cooler weather, but you've got to grow them in the summer.
Yeah, they're
not going to handle frost.
They're kind of a funny one. They don't like it hot, but they can't take a freeze either.
Yeah. So, but the general ballpark is winter leaves and roots versus summer seeds and fruits.
This is the single most useful gardening rhyme you will ever learn. Write it down.
So hopefully that's something that can just stick in your mind, right, and make it a little easier when it comes to just understanding, okay, is this crop going to grow in the cool season or is it going to grow in the warm season? And by the way, there's a lot of cold season crops that you can grow straight through the winter. We're talking about a superfood garden that you can grow all year round. There is, with some very simple protection methods, and we don't have time in this class to go into them.
Simple and low cost.
Yeah, low cost. You can grow these cold-tolerant crops straight through the winter in the majority of places here in the United States, at least, in a lot of Europe.
We know up to zone 5, for sure.
For sure.
And certain things probably colder in colder zones.
And you could drastically extend your season even in the colder zones.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, how many of you would like just a little list of some of these cold-tolerant crops, right? And these, we divided them into kind of a low freeze tolerance, medium freeze tolerance, high freeze tolerance. And that basically means that all of these can handle a freeze, but some of them can handle harder freezes.
And I want to be clear that this classification is fairly subjective. It's primarily based on our own experience. There are some other people who have made some lists and categorizations like this, and for the most part we agree. But I was interested. There are some certain crops that we don't agree on, and maybe it has something to do with our conditions, versus theirs, our soil type, or that there's a lot of things that make something more or less cold tolerant. So I don't know all that's involved in it, but
yeah, but this is a great ballpark to just get started with, to as a general rule to take a look at, and like you said, from our experience.
And there doesn't seem to be any scientific classification on this that I have seen.
Yeah. So let's talk about low freeze tolerance. This is going to be like your lettuce, chicory, radicchio, endive, escarole, broccoli, cauliflower. Those you're actually eating the flower of the plant. I mean, before it actually, it's almost the bud. Like it doesn't, it's not really fully flowered. But cilantro, parsley, radishes, celery, bok choy. And recently, we've been having broccoli that has been handling a frost. It's been impressive.
Yeah.
Like in the past, we thought if a broccoli froze, it would just turn to mush. But we've had broccoli heads that are frozen and come out of it.
And another thing we could say here, if your vegetables do freeze, don't harvest them in the frozen state
while they're frozen,
because they will go bad.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they can, like Paul's talking about, the broccoli recovered while it was,
on the plant,
intact on the plant in the ground. And there are a lot of winter plants that have an amazing ability to do that. They'll look wilted and severely damaged, and you just let them thaw out and let nature take its course, and they're fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, so then next up, medium freeze tolerance. This is a big list. And by the way, these lists are not even extensive. Like there's more than we have listed here, but these are a lot of the common ones. Chinese cabbage, sorrel, rutabaga, kohlrabi, collards, kale, mosh, that might not be so common. It's a specialty French green there. Spinach, beets, carrots, parsnips, dandelion greens, baby greens. Yeah, all of these can handle a decent low frost. The big thing with protection is you want to make sure that they're protected from the wind and the elements. Just keep the air super still around them, and they'll be able to handle a lot colder temperatures. Mm-hmm. And then high freeze tolerance. So here you got turnips. Those the purple top turnips. There are salad turnips like Hackerite turnips. You might have seen those white turnips. They're really sweet, really good. But those are more low freeze tolerant.
Or medium.
Yeah. Brussels sprouts, really hardy. Cabbage, very, very hardy. Zucchini, Savoy, they can really handle some hard frosts. All right, so great little starter list for your winter veggies that you could just take that list and pick stuff off that you want to grow, right? And so a lot of these, by the way, are superfoods. Like, I feel like most of the superfoods are the cool weather crops.
Yeah.
And here is the revelation most gardeners never hear. The plants that are hardest to kill in winter are often the most nutritionally dense foods you can grow. Your cold season garden is not a consolation prize. It is a superfood powerhouse.
When you look at a superfood list.
In fact, sometimes I wonder if anything you grow in your garden might be a superfood.
Yeah.
Think about where you were at the start of this video. A garden that only produces in summer, an empty plot for 8 months of the year. Now, look at what you know. Winter leaves and roots, summer seeds and fruits. The simple rhyme that tells you exactly what to grow in every season. And the revelation that most superfoods grow in the cold, in the season most gardeners never plant. Paul and Edwin Dysinger just handed you the key to a year-round garden. And the next step is closer than you think. This talk was given at a past Grow Your Own Vegetables event. If it inspired you, imagine 4 days with 15 of the world's most trusted gardeners, homesteaders, herbalists, and soil educators, each sharing their single most powerful lesson, completely free. Whether the summit is live right now or you are watching this later, you can still register and access everything.